Hey guys, I'm doing my due diligence for the world and reviewing the bizarre Portal spin-off, Bridge Construction Portal. Now, I'm writing this review because when I was considering purchasing this game myself, I looked all over YouTube for reviews, and much to my surprise, the only one I could find was unfortunately written by a 4-year-old child, who was not a good judge of anything. So I ended up buying this blind because 10 years ago, me and all my friends were really obsessed with Portal. Portal was fucking amazing. And then after that came its narrative expanding sequel, Portal 2. Now, there was also the extremely basic bitch Lego Portal, and then after the series has kind of been dead, up until now. Now, I'm not familiar with the Bridge Constructor series. I have seen it around. It seems extremely similar to an old WiiWare indie game called World of Goo, with the basic concept that you build bridges with triangle physics, then you get these little forklift cars to go over the bridges. Looking into it now, it's looking like this actually is kind of like a clone of that series. Like, it's a semi-long-running series, but it suspiciously originated in 2011 when World of Goo was all popular. So yeah, feels like it's a rip-off that outlived the thing it was ripping off. Anyway, unlike the World of Goo, Bridge Constructor has kept itself alive up until the modern day by sequeling itself out and selling out hard, with Bridge Constructor Portal being the 5th in the Bridge Constructor series, and the start of a series of bad crossover cash-ins, with the next one being the incredibly obnoxious, also 10 years too late, Walking Dead Bridge Constructor. Just in time for that show to finally be cancelled. Nope, spin-offs. Anyway, so Bridge Constructor Portal is all that, plus the narrative and general concept of the game Portal, the world's first-person puzzle experience. Now, back to Bridge Constructor Portal. I guess because I beat the game already, I'm just kind of going to show off my game. I don't want to show off a bunch of the stages I beat because that would spoil some of the puzzles. Alright, gameplay. Each stage requires you to get one car to the goal to move on. However, after that is done, you unlock a convoy challenge where you put your bridge to a real test and see if it can withstand multiple cars going over it. The number of cars can be as low as 3 to as high as 20. And honestly, this is where it gets interesting because as more and more cars get on the bridge probably buckles under the weight of all the cars, especially if the bridge has been made improperly. Now, some of the stages are definitely made to be played in this mode because otherwise, if you just beat them with one car, they're retardedly easy. But then when you are playing the convoy challenge with like 20 cars, suddenly it's an absolute nightmare. Now, you can build the bridges out of 2 strict materials: steel rods and metal cables. For the first 40 stages, I didn't really get the cables. I got that the cables were supposed to be cheaper and lighter than the rods, but the game never really explained why you would use the cables. I just had to figure it out on my own. And what I figured out on my own was that later in the game, when your bridges become more and more unstable, you can use the cables to anchor the bridges to the anchor points and give them additional stability, because the metal girders can only reach so far, whereas the cables can reach anywhere in a straight line. The game takes account of how much money you spend building the bridge, but the money doesn't actually matter and you never run out of it. So it's really just kind of there to make you nervous or kind of intimidate you, like, why are you wasting all this money? We don't have it made. Oh, and they brought back GLaDOS to do her mean tutorial GLaDOS thing. But in lieu of any final battle, it's just a fun cameo appearance / tutorial voice. And she really has none of the wit or side jabs that made her so enjoyable in the original Portal games. She's really just there to introduce the stages. Price. Okay, so this game feels like a cheap cell phone game, and it feels that way because it turns out it actually is a cheap cell phone game. The only reason I'm playing it in 2022, 5 years after its original release, is because they waited a while to port it to the Nintendo Switch, and I waited a while to buy it on the eShop, because when I bought it on the eShop, it was only $4, and not the outrageous $15 it is definitely not worth. It is so not worth $15. It's a fun game, it's a challenging game, but it's a cell phone game, and on the cell phone, I think it's like $1. So the fact it costs $15 on the Switch is just plain and simple robbery. Controls. Now, I can't praise everything about this game. I guess because it's a cell phone game, they did give it full button controls for the Switch, and the controls are a lot more complex than they first appear. You can play the game with the Joy-Cons, but you need to be very precise to get your bridges right. Although I discovered that you can hold down R to make your Joy-Cons more sensitive. I discovered by accident today, though, that if you play the game undocked while the Switch is in tablet mode, you do actually get access to the original cell phone game touchscreen controls. So that does technically make the Switch version the most versatile version of the game, as opposed to the PS4 version, which only has the controller controls, and the cell phone version, which only has the touchscreen controls. Now, despite that it's a mobile game, the Portal mazes are pretty insane to comprehend, and for that reason, it is better to play this game docked on a big old TV if you can help it, because that way you can see everything and everything looks all way nicer that way. Although, when you do see the whole map, if you've got like a bunch of cars going around, there is some lag. In terms of difficulty, the game has a very insane difficulty curve. A little bit like the original Portal, but kind of worse. The first 10 missions are super easy. Then the 11 through 20 are, your standard puzzle game problems. Shockingly though, once you get above 20, all bets are off. After 20, it's suddenly an ultra hard brain expanding experience where all the maps take like hours to get through. The game only has 60 stages, and I'm surprised by that because I barely believe it, because the game just got so ludicrously hard at stage 20 that I'm like, what the hell's stage 60 gonna be like? But after stage 20, just every stage takes hours to beat. Some of them turn into major logistics and planning nightmares. By and large, every stage, for the most part, you can take a look at it and kind of try and figure it out. But I want to say there are 5 puzzles later on where that's not the case, and they just make zero sense from the outset, and the only way you can really figure them out is by a long string of guessing, trialing, and erroring, and correcting. What gets really tedious about this game is you end up in a lot of stages where you build bridges, the bridges fail, but then if you just simply move one leg over the bridge super carefully by exactly a millimeter, then suddenly everything will work out honky-dory. This game is extremely into trial and error and getting things just right. And if by some miracle you get through all 60 stages and you're still hungry for more, well, that's not the end, because there are an additional 30 DLC stages. Now, the concept of the DLC stages is, despite this being marked as a Portal game, you don't actually get your own portal gun to make your own portals, unless you buy the DLC, because they paywalled all that good shit. And that again gives me incredible mixed feelings, because currently that DLC is apparently only $2 on cell phones, but on consoles it's $6, which is again more than I paid for this super game, which was $4 because it was on sale. So, if you really love this game, and outright love it, and you feel gypped that they put the portal gun behind a paywall, I guess go ahead and buy that DLC, but yeah, in the end, Bridge Constructor Portal, it's okay. It's less fun than playing Portal or Portal 2. Way less fun than Portal 2, but it's still a valid sequel to the Portal series nonetheless. It's definitely not the best game ever, and it's definitely not worth anything more than $10. I only paid $4 for it. If you find it somewhere cheap, it'll definitely keep you busy for a week or two, because the later puzzles get really long. In conclusion, I'm giving Bridge Constructor Portal a 7 out of 10 because it was very fun, it was very satisfying. It's Portal with cars, can't go wrong with that. Cons though, it has no story whatsoever. Some of the harder stages are just utterly baffling and can take hours to comprehend. There's no way to get any kind of help for any of the stages except by cheating on YouTube. And I'm super annoyed that they don't just sell this game as a complete package. The fact that there's still DLC on it really irks me. Alright, yeah, so that's Bridge Constructor Portal. An okay Portal spinoff. Possibly the best Portal spinoff ever made. Long story short, I'm hoping we still get Portal 3 one of these days, and that'd be fun. Alright, I was Moonbuster Green. If you are into Portal clones, also check out this review I did of Manifold Garden, which was a ripoff of Portal. Alright, thanks guys. Later.